You are now entering. Hell in the pod. Hey yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Gio Gump, and welcome back to another installment of Hell in the Pod, the culturally extreme wrestling podcast. And today we have with us, born and raised in Brooklyn, Schenectady native right now, the Extremo, Blaze Haram. How you doing, brother?
Peace, man. Thank you for having me here, man. I know, reached out. It's been a minute, but I finally made it happen. You know what I mean? Thanks for inviting me to Hell in the Pod, man. Let's get it. You know?
Let's go, man. I appreciate you being here. Fresh off a match at Immortal Championship Wrestling, Utica, New York, at the Minoru Suzuki Mike Skyros card. How you feeling after winning? I mean, you got the trophy right here.
I feel great, bro. You know what I mean? Immortal Things 5. You know, this is my 5th Immortal Things. You know what I mean? I actually made my debut at Immortal Things 1 with Immortal Championship Wrestling. So 5 years in, still here. But what better way to kick off the show with, winning the 16 Stone Cup, 2024 16 Stone Cup winner. You know what I mean?
And shout out 16 Stone, man.
Shout outs to 16 Stone, he got his own brew going, shout outs to Adam Stone. But, what better way to kick off the show against 4 other morons and come off with this? Feel me?
And that's Haram.
You already.
Okay. So, first and foremost, I've been a big fan of, for one, yourself and Ben. Your guys as a tag team is the first place that I've seen you guys in Immortal, as a matter of fact.
Word.
It was just like a captivating moment. Everybody in the crowd booing. Everybody just taking in the fact that they didn't like you guys, and you guys really play that part. So that's what drew me to you and Ben, first and foremost. So I got to give props there. I love a heel. I love a good heel, and these guys know how to play a fucking heel, man. That's for sure. So first and foremost, I want to start off with you as a young cat. What's your earliest memory of pro wrestling, bro?
Shit, I could go back. The earliest memory I have, I could go back to, I was probably like 6, 7 years old, you know what I mean? I remember watching Saturday Night Main Event on NBC, it was at the time, and it was when $1 Million Man revealed the $1 Million Championship. I remember him walking into the jewelry store, pulling off the little velvet towel. We'll talk about, look, behold, the new champion, you know what I mean? Like, that was great.
Right.
And I've always been captivated to, by the heels, you know what I'm saying? So that, I use that as inspiration. I've always liked the heels growing up.
100%. Who was one of your favorite, just for one, inspirations growing up, one of your favorite wrestlers and your favorite heel of all time?
Favorite heel of all time has to be, it's hard, man. I love a lot of heels, but, I'll give you my top 3. To make it easy, I'll give you my
top 3. Here we go.
My top 3 heels. So number 1, it got to be $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Okay.
That laugh is classic. You know what I mean? Nobody, no heel in the game. Best laugh in the game. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody can top that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's number 1. Number 2, it got to be Rick Rude. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Ravishing Rick Rude. And I love 2 different eras of Rick Rude. Like I like his WWF run.
Okay.
And I also enjoyed his WCW run. There was a big difference, you know what I mean?
Right,
WWF, he was more focused on the Ravishing one and,
and he
more
was
character.
very famous and jumping on the same night, too.
Word,
on
correct.
WCW and WWE, or WWF at the time. And that actually leads me straight to my next question. As a kid, were you a WCW or were you a WWF guy?
WCW all day, man.
Really?
Yep. I always
World
appreciated the wrestling aspect of it. WWF was great too, but they kind of focused more on the gimmicks and the characters, you know, which they had like all these larger-than-life characters building onto the storyline and shit like that. But WCW, I was always captivated by the wrestling, you know what I mean? They had the cheesy characters and shit, but the wrestling was dope, man, The shit you didn't see in WWF,
That's crazy. What was one of your favorite matches to watch in WCW?
There were so many. I was a big fan of their cruiserweight division.
Okay.
So, like, one of my favorites, Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero. They had a crazy series of matches. Halloween Havoc '97.
Yep.
They bodied that shit, man. Yeah. And you had even transitioning to their ECW run. You know what I mean? Yeah. They followed up with some great matches too.
100%. Eddie, Benoit, all of those guys who transitioned from WCW or WWF or ECW at the time, they made their way. and
Yeah.
that's really cool to see. What made you decide to become a pro wrestler, and when did you start training?
So I've always had the dream of being a professional wrestler, but you know, unfortunately, back in the day, you know, pro wrestling ain't, for those who know, pro wrestling training ain't cheap. You know what I mean? It's just expensive and it's an investment. You know what I mean?
100%.
You got to be in it 100% or don't be in it at all. You know. But first time around, my first taste of getting training in pro wrestling was around 2007, 2008, with Johnny Rods in Brooklyn.
That's what's up.
But he was expensive as fuck. You know, I couldn't afford the shit. And top of that, I caught a little bid, so I ended up doing some little state time and shit. But I came home, got my shit together, and got back to training. I moved up to Schenectady. I found a spot, Extreme Wrestling Alliance, out in Albany, New York. For those who ain't familiar about that school, that's the same school that I came out of. Also, Christina Marie. You know, we came out the same school.
Marie,
Shout out to Christina. She's like a little sister to me. You know, but yeah, you know, I discovered XWA. Got my training in, and that's the birth of Blaze Haram, man.
That's what's up, man. Birth of Blaze Haram. And let me just touch on this real quick, because friends of the show, people who know the media company that I run, did a little time and then came right back to training and out here doing shows. And like when I'm saying multiple shows, this dude is out here traveling. Talk a little bit about just coming from the other side of the wall and then coming back out here and being able to do shows where people are either booing you, which we like in pro wrestling, or like me, man, I like the bad guy, so I'm throwing up the hand too. So like, just talk about coming from that world to right here, man.
I mean, coming from that world, you know, it's basically it was the worst days of my life. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You know what I mean? I don't recommend that shit to nobody. Prison sucks. Stay the fuck out of jail. You know, basically, you do the crime, you do the time. You know what I mean? That's what people say. Fortunately, I got caught up in the mix, but I used that shit as ammo when I came home, as motivation to not go back again. And one of my outlets to do that was pro wrestling. You know what I mean? So and music, because like I was talking to you earlier, before I got into pro wrestling, I was heavy into the New York City independent music scene. I was heavily involved, and you know, I kind of took a left on my journey and found my love for pro wrestling. I mean, my love has always been there, but you know, as far as like pursuing it itself, I kind of put music to a halt for a bit and to focus on my pro wrestling. You know.
And that's kind of what draws me to Blaze Haram too. Is I see him. He comes out and like, if you don't know, he's got the Griselda. He's got the fourth rope on coming out here.
Shout outs to West Side Gun.
Yeah, shout out West Side.
Conway and Benny.
Yeah, he's really, shout out Griselda. He's really putting on for like the music, fashion, art, and culture of pro wrestling. And that's what drew me to him a lot too. People might not have noticed him wearing some of the merch and whatnot, but that just comes from being an artist, you know, too. And also in the pro wrestling game, because a lot of people know who are into music, pro wrestling isn't that cool to some people in the lane that we're in. So it's just really cool to see you bring that to life, man, and keep it alive, man. When was your first match? I know you were talking about a little bit about training, but how long was it from your first day of training to your debut?
It actually took, I'll break down a little story for you. So I was like 6 months into the training, and if you're not familiar, there's a manager out in this northeast area by the name of Mr. Man.
Yep.
Yeah, so Mr. Man kind of discovered me. You know, he came to XWA, see me training, asked my trainer why I'm not working. My trainer said he's not ready. So I went behind my trainer, you know, and got booked with Immortal Championship Wrestling, you know. And, you know, Mr. Man took his chance on me. What he told me in the locker room before I came out, he was like, don't fuck this up. You know, so I was like, I got you, you know. Did my thing, came back in. It was all love since, man. The guy gave me a huge ass hug, you know what I mean? And it's been all love, you know. I put a big smile on his face for him seeing my debut, you know, and I'm here, man, you know.
Listen, making Mr. Man proud, and that kind of leads me into the next question. How did you come up with the name and character, Blaze Haram? Was it a little bit to do with Mr. Man, or what?
Nah, so back where I come from in Brooklyn, I grew up with a lot of Middle Eastern people. My part of town, in Brooklyn, Sunset Park, Brooklyn.
Shout out BK.
Predominantly Latino, but like throughout the years, we started getting a lot of Palestinians and Egyptians and stuff. So, you know, I got a lot of Middle Eastern friends back home, and I kind of, you know, got inspired by their culture, you know, to pursue the whole Blaze Haram thing, you know what I mean? And Americans don't like turbans, man. That's what makes the heat so easy. I could just drop this shit on my head and motherfuckers is booing me, you know?
That's what makes the heat so easy. I like that, man.
You know,
and,
but I use that as inspiration to the character, knowing how it gets over. You know, I could just throw a towel in my head and people just booing the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? But
It's easy.
It's easy.
And you play it well. I will tell you that. You play
Thank you.
right into the boos, man.
Yeah.
You walk right into people's faces when they got something to say, and you got something to say back.
Yeah. I also use a lot of like current events. You know, I pay attention. You know, shout outs to Ben Hameen and Hameen Media. You know, they stay on top of those things.
Shout out Ben.
So you know, I do that to help me with like promos and even me talking my shit out there. You know, I watch what's going on. You know, as we're talking now, I looked at my phone and y'all president just got shot.
It's crazy right now, bro.
It's crazy.
Donald Trump got shot. Live events, bro. Donald Trump and the Secret Service just took care of somebody. It's wild out here. 2024, this is crazy. Yeah. These guys got a lot of heat to play off of this year.
You know,
for sure.
Got me some ammo. Shout out to Donald, you know.
Shout out to Donald, Blaze Haram coming through, man.
You're ready.
So coming off of that, you know, you are a big fan and you're also a professional at the sport. What's your favorite type of match to be in?
I've done all kinds of matches, but my favorite match to be in is a cage match.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just being in a cage, man. It just feels different. You know, you ain't going nowhere, ain't no outside. You're just locked in there with your opponent. You know what I mean? And it's from experience and watching people, you know, different cage matches, especially in the independents. Sometimes I feel like a lot of work is lacking. Cage matches is they do everything but use the cage.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love using the cage. I love tossing my opponents into the cage. It's there. Use it.
Right. Climbing it, jumping off of it.
Yeah, a lot of these guys do a bunch of other shit.
You gonna pull Adam Copeland and break both legs coming out?
Yeah, you know, I might, you know, shit, but
watch out for Blaze Haram jumping off the top of the cage.
Yeah, I like cage matches. I like a lot of hardcore shit, you know. I've done a couple of hardcore shit, you know.
I'm a deathmatch guy.
Yeah.
That's me. I like to watch the car crash. I like to see people bleed.
But
I also do like to see the technicality.
Yeah, I love violence, you know, in wrestling. And believe it or not, you know, violence is a universal language. You know, you might not be able to get yourself, you know, express yourself some way, but people do understand violence.
They do.
No matter where they come from, where they've been at, people understand violence.
100%.
You know, that's what gets over in pro wrestling. You know?
100%. And
stop with the super family-friendly shows. Nobody cares about that. You know what I mean? People pay tickets to see blood and see motherfuckers get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know?
Hit somebody with a chair.
Yeah.
Put somebody through a table.
Yeah.
Hit somebody with barbed wire, man. That's what I want to see. All right? And, you know, speaking about the reality of pro wrestling, does Blaze Haram have any real-life heat out here right now?
As far as the wrestling goes, you know, I kind of keep to myself, really, in this business. From my experience, I'm going to keep it a buck. There is a lot of bozos in this shit, you know what I mean? But a
lot of egos.
Yep, a lot of egos. But one thing about me, you know, I never put my knee pads into overtime, you know what I mean, for a spot, you know what I mean?
I like that.
If you catch my drift, you know?
I got you.
I don't need none of that. My talent speaks for itself, you know? I don't need to be kissing promoters' asses and none of that shit to get a spot, you know what I mean? Everything I've done in professional wrestling, I've earned, you know? So, you know, I always try to keep it sucker-free, but as far as the egos go, that shit, you know, there's egos as long as from here to fucking Japan, but, you know, I try to stay away from that shit, you know? I come do my shows, it's all peace, you know?
100%, and I see that from him, man. He's really out here doing his thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, just speaking of that, so stays to himself in the business, but if you got someone in mind for a match right now, anybody, any promotion, that camera, call him out right now.
I got it. It's been waiting for months. Homicide.
Ooh, yep. Homicide.
Fellow Brooklyn brother, you know what I mean? But hopefully one day me and him cross paths. I love to, you know, shit. Well, pitch it to the promoter in Immortal Championship Wrestling and make it happen. You know, hey. Blaze Haram versus Homicide, man.
Listen, I would pay so much money to see that in ICW. And that would be an ICW historical event, just like tonight. Blaze Haram, my guy. Let everybody know what's coming up next and drop your handles. Let them know how to follow you.
What's coming up next? So you'll catch me next month at UWE, August 18th. You know, I'll be there for their taping. But also August 6th, I'll be at Immortal's Immortal Championship Wrestling's next show. I believe it's in the Schoharie County Fair. So you'll catch me doing my thing there. But as far as my handle goes, you know, you can Blaze Haram, everything, you know, Google, Instagram, you know, Salt on the Violence, Twitter, you know, Blaze Extremo, Blaze Haram, you know, just Blaze Haram everything. You Google, everything pop up, man. ProWrestlingTees.com/Blaze Haram. You know, get yourself some fly shit in there too, you know.
Listen, cop up from Blaze, follow Blaze. Leave them off a little bit of a little promo.
I bet. Yo, we here. Immortal Championship Wrestling, Utica University, Nexus Center. You're looking at your 16 Stone Cup 2024 winner. You know, if you jerk jobs knew better, y'all would do better. But it's Black Dragon up in this bitch. A-Rab Money, Blaze Haram. You already know what fucking time it is. Let's get this motherfucking shot.
A-Rab Money.
We've been sitting here for 15 minutes. We got shot of yak over here, sitting, simmering on the ground because it's like 100 degrees out. But, you know.
Hot day in Utica, New York. Listen, Minoru Suzuki's about to go on. Blaze already fucking won this chip right here. You heard? The 16 Stone Cup. My man got the pin. 1, 2, 3. Listen. That's haram.
Salute. Inshallah, morons.
Thanks for watching Hell in the Pod, the culturally extreme wrestling podcast.